Hey friends, I've got an interesting topic to talk with you about today. And it's the premise that small steps are actually harder than leaps in times in our life. If you're thinking this sounds crazy, then I hope you'll keep watching and that you'll listen in and let me know what you think. It just might completely change your whole life. Okay, let's talk about our topic. So I'm going to break down my premise of why the small steps are harder than big steps. And if you're at a precipice where you're having to make the decision to make a big leap, I want to give you a tool to help you align and get your energy all behind whatever decision you make. Okay, let's do it. So I first want to explain the topic of expansion because expansion and our desires are interrelated. So when we're at the precipice of a leap, what generally has happened is we have a desire, and a desire that's pretty big that's causing us to have to change something. Oftentimes in our life, it looks something like a job, like we want to change jobs or we want to do something completely different. Maybe we want to end or start a new relationship. Maybe we want to buy a home, or we want to make a big financial investment or go on a big trip. It really doesn't matter if it's something profound or even something simple. It's anything that causes a desire to stir within you and something that would require a change because it's something new. In the moment that you realize this, there is a big part of your energy that goes right there. I call this the soul. I call this the spirit because it knows that you're a creator. This part of you knows, I'll call it the greater part of you, the capital S self. It knows that you can have what you want because you are the creator. And so it automatically has lined up with what you want. But then in comes the small self. This is the self-preserving self. This is the self that's like, I only know you based on your experience and what's happening right now, and I don't know you in the future. Therefore, I can't tell you that it's safe. And it's not safe to change. So I'd rather you just stay where you are. This can be the voice of doubt, of fear, of our limiting beliefs, and it comes from the mind. And it comes from the mind because this is the mind's job. It's to look at our past, to look at what's happening right now, and through experience to extrapolate what would probably happen in the future. The problem with this is that the mind will never, ever, the small self, talk you into expansion. Now, sometimes you can logicize yourself into change, but on big cases of expansion, your mind will never, ever be an ally for that because, again, it's challenging its identity, and its identity is to keep you the same. So we've got the small self and we've got the big self. And I want to give you an analogy that will really help, and it's pretty poignant right now since the Olympics are playing. Think of the uneven bars, right? This large part of you, that is that athlete that knows that it can effortlessly swing from one set of bars to the second. The small self is the one that wants to hang on and says, it's not safe. You could fall. We don't know what's going to happen. Even if we have a large predictability of success, there is no guarantee because that's what the small self always wants is guarantee. If you haven't watched my video on there is no such thing as safety, check it out because truly it talks about the fact that we all want guarantees in life, but there is no guarantee. The only guarantee you have is the more aligned you are with you, with the greater part of you, with your spirit, with your soul, with your internal sense of wisdom. That is the best source of knowing and alignment you can have. And that's the only guarantee because everything else is outside of us and can change. So what tends to happen is we split our energy when we're in those moments, right? The larger part of us went towards the expansion, the small parts stuck in fear. And so what generally happens for most of us is we mic toss, right? So if we give the microphone to the small self, it gives us all the reasons why the desire is a bad idea, the expansion is a bad idea, we shouldn't do it, right? It's never going to talk us into it. We give the mic to the big self, well, it doesn't have any experience. It doesn't know how it's going to work out. So it gets excited, but right away it's like, I don't have much to offer. I just know I want it. And so what happens is we pass it back and forth. And this is where we start making small steps. We'll be like, well, I'll just take a little bit of step. I'll put my toe in the water. But just like the uneven bars, you really can't do that with some things because in uneven bars, you're going to fall if you keep one hand in and one hand off. But in our own life, what happens is that when we're splitting our energy, we never really get that sense of alignment and fulfillment that keeps moving us forward, right? We never get that full satisfaction because we're just kind of splitting it. We're kind of getting little doses of it. And as we waffle back and forth, misaligned with our energy, or not completely in our yes or completely in our no, what will tend to happen is that we'll feed that voice of fear and uncertainty and doubt to the point that we just talk ourselves out of it and we end up going back most times. Now, maybe you're successful in stringing around your small steps and you get there, and that can happen. But what my experience has been is that it causes a lot more suffering because we kind of drag it out and then we start to doubt, are we really going to get there? Is it really worth it? Because again, our energy is split. When our energy is split with anything, our experience is split. I just was speaking to someone the other day, a client, and she had just taken a big leap, something she had really dreamed of doing. And she was telling me how much flow she felt, how good her body felt, how life was feeling so much more harmonious. That's because she finally lined her energy up with what she always knew she wanted. She was not able to experience that until she took the leap, because she was kind of doing it halvesies, partly, right? That's what we do until we don't do it anymore. But that's what sometimes keeps us from making that final leap, is that we can't experience what it is we want that will give us that alignment, that knowingness that this was the right step, which happens when we leap. So we might toss, that's one option, or you get behind your energy and you go all in, just like the gymnast on the uneven bars. Only thing they have is their ability to go all in and to trust their ability and skill to navigate it when they get there or when they don't. There's one way to find out, and that's to try it. If you like this video, would you please like and subscribe it? Would you add some comments, questions? This helps me help spread these messages, gets more of us in the Genius Revolution, which is the movement to help us live a more satisfying, fulfilled, and easeful life. Remember, the small self won't talk you into it, but the larger self is wise and is adaptable. And oftentimes, the minute we take that leap, we're amazed at how we're met. The synchronicities that happen, the creative ideas, the workarounds, the fact that sometimes when we take a big leap, so much is at stake that we actually do different things to get there, because just doing it step by step would require pretty much us to use the same skills that we have, the same abilities. We just do them a little bit more, but oftentimes that won't yield the exponential leap that we desire. Sometimes we just have to leave the job in order to know that we can put all of our energy around the new job. I can't tell you how many clients I work with that really know that, the shadow of a doubt, that they want to leave their job, but they don't, and they keep looking for the better job first. But oftentimes, because their energy split, they're not able to really find that more fulfilling job. So then they just settle and say, well, I don't think it's out there. But then when they actually, some of them that have actually quit the job, then they put all their energy around it and they've designed something way better than they ever imagined. But that wasn't available until they put all of their energy and attention and effort towards the new thing. So if you're at a precipice where you're going to have to either take the leap or not, and you think that this might be a stage in which the waffling or the mic tossing isn't going to serve you, my recommendation is to get behind yourself. Either way, decide you're all in for the yes and go for it, or you're all in for the no and forgive yourself for not leaping. Don't beat yourself up, and acknowledge that this isn't the right time and let it go. But I'm going to give you a tip and a tool that I use to listen to different parts of myself, because again, we know the mind's mantra will always be based on protection and survival. And that isn't the only thing that's up for us when we're at an expansion. So what I do is I start with the mind and I write down all the reasons that it's telling me that I shouldn't do it, all the logical, reasonable, blah, blah, blah. And I write them all down, every single one of them, until I can't think of any more. And then I put that aside and I say, all right, mind, now you're quiet. Now I'm listening to something else. And I check in with my body and I let my body feel the decision to take this risk, to take the leap, what it would allow me to experience and feel, what it is that I'm going for. And I try to experience that in my body. And then I feel the opposite, deciding to say no and not take the opportunity or not take the leap. And I notice how that feels in my body. I then move on to the part of my spirit or intuition, my energy. And I feel what it would feel like to say yes. Would I feel lighter in my body? Would I feel more energized? Would I feel more excited? I might bring in the emotions for that. And then again, I feel the opposite, the choice to not go. And I notice how that feels. Now, for a lot of us, using these other intelligences, the body intelligence, the emotional intelligence, and the spiritual or the gut feel, right? Because we all get those gut feels. Those might be tools that you don't use as often. And so you might feel like when you try to check in, you're like, I don't get anything, or I don't know what that is. I find that that's where we need a lot of help and support in navigating these tools. I have some videos on each of those tools that you can watch, but this is also a lot of the work that I do with people in the coaching realm, is helping them develop these tools, because it just takes practice to doing this, to be able to kind of check in with what these intelligences say. But do your best just to play out not always the best case scenario, but the scenario of what it would feel like. Allow yourself to kind of entertain it. Allow yourself to maybe brainstorm some of the possible ways in which this could be life enhancing. What would be gifts of this? Even if you don't know the how. And then if I need to, I go back to the minds list and I really ask myself if a lot of that it's saying are true, or if they're worst case kind of fear mongering. And maybe I cross those off and I look at the true statements, like, oh, if I did this, I'd only have 1 month of savings. And I really evaluate if that's something that I can get behind. And maybe it's no, and maybe it's yes. So I go back and I kind of take a little bit of both, right? Take out the fears, the ones that I know are just completely the ones that doubt me and my self-worth and my value. And I look at the ones that are just reality. And then I decide, can I get behind this? Yes or no? Friends, leaping requires a few different things. It requires trusting your desires, that they're not wrong, that they're not bad, they're not out to get you, that they are a part of you that's wanting you to expand and have new experiences. This is different than the longings that just want to fill a void. I call those like those midnight snacks, like that I don't feel good about myself, therefore I want this to make me feel better. That's not a desire. A desire is something that allows you to grow and experience more of who you are. So, in order to leap, you got to be able to trust your desires. You also have to be able to trust yourself. Trust that you can adapt to the situations and circumstances around you, that you don't have to have the fail safe guarantee, because there is none. The only guarantee is you trusting you, you being in the moment and trusting that whatever you need is in the moment with you. Life's not against you, it's truly trying to help you get to where you want to go. And then the third thing that it requires is, again, not just listening to the mind, but opening up to the other ways that your intelligences are working with you, and to not only play out the worst case scenario, but allow yourself to play and entertain what could happen if you leap. And then get behind your decision one way or the other. Either 100% you're all in, yes, go for it, and then see where you go, see what happens, be open and be willing to be surprised, or get behind your no and decide, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put this on the table and maybe I'll return back to it and maybe I won't. And then stop beating yourself up, stop going back and forth, coulda, woulda, shoulda, and truly allow yourself to be where you are until you really feel the desire get stronger and stronger. And maybe it will, and maybe it won't. I hope this has been helpful for you, friends. I really feel that astrology of the times right now is allowing a lot of us to be met with our leaping opportunity. There are areas in our life that we've been calling in something more, and life is probably trying to deliver that to you in some area. So you might be faced with that opportunity, like the uneven bars, to say, am I going to fully commit and be all in? And I hope you will be if it's the right time for you. I want to invite you also to an opportunity to leap with me, if you'd like, in Lanakai, Hawaii at the end of August. This is an opportunity to take anything that's going on in your life, any area, and truly allow it to be informing you and allowing yourself to be creator and designer of how you want it to play out in the most beautiful environment that allows you to synergize with your desires in a really beautiful alchemy. If you are interested in learning more, check out my website or schedule a discovery call. Friends, I always have these types of articles and information on my newsletter, so you can always subscribe to that as well. Information's down below. Please like, please subscribe, please ask questions or comment. What do you want more of? What do you want me to explain? I love making these videos and sharing the information that helps us all live more aligned with our genius self. Until next time, friends, happy leaping.